No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Ow, 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 ow. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Ooh, the gym. My old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, Fly Fishing Guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah. Try it sometime.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Wednesday to you here at Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. We're on the social media channels of both Bronco Nation News and the KTIK today with our partnership with KTIK Radio. John Mallory joins us on Wednesday morning, so make sure you're following us and them on and subscribing on Facebook and Twitter and X, whatever it's called. YouTube, all the different social media platforms. They do their daily video segment. You can watch that there on the KTIK channels. John Mallory, happy Wednesday. How we doing, man?
Yes, BJ, fired up. Wednesday, middle of the week, big Final Four games coming. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And you're probably watching baseball like I am every night. I love the first couple of weeks of the baseball season. Show ends, I get home, fix something for dinner or whatever, and wait for my Mariners to start. So it's a good time. Beautiful day outside, too. So let's get after it.
Yeah, Cardinals are 3-3, and they're on the West Coast. So these later 8 o'clock start times, I'm kind of liking. I can get to the kids' baseball practice and games and things and get home and still watch the majority of the games. So, yeah, always love baseball season. Johnny helps us get all the way to football season next fall. You got baseball. Somebody's playing pretty much every day. So I love this time of year. We got the spring game coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to talk mostly Boise State football today. We do have another departure from the basketball team as well. Kobe Young, we're going to get into his situation a little bit. As always, we want to hear from you guys on the ICCU YouTube chat. You can get in your comments, your questions, your thoughts, anything Boise State related, football, basketball, you name it. Get into the ICCU YouTube chat. and we'll try to get that comment or question on air and get that answered for you over the next 35, 40 minutes or so. Johnny, I know yesterday you guys talked about Jonah Dalmas. I want to get into him a little bit. I got a clip to play of him going for the records. But overall, I'm just curious. We're at about the halfway point in spring, and we've both been out there for a good majority of the practices, and you were there before the door even opened yesterday. You were there for the full practice yesterday. I was there shortly behind you after me and Jay finished our show. But the point is, Spencer's letting us get pretty good access to watch some of these practices, and we're getting to see more team drills and more things than we've seen in the past. And I'm just kind of curious at the midway point here to kick us off here. Just your general impressions, observations, surprises, thoughts from what you've seen from spring practice here.
The access, BJ, has been terrific, right? I mean, I know more about this team watching, a few spring practices than it feels like I was able to gather information-wise, like in months or whatever with the previous seasons, right, BJ? Just being able to see more than calisthenics and individual drills and actually see the ones against the ones for a series. Like they'll do a drill where whatever offensive unit it is, the 1, the 2, or the 3, they'll start the ball basically at the 25-yard line, just like a drive. And then whatever defense they line up against it, the 1s, the 2s, or the 3s, and they just go. They play a series. They have officials out there, and that's good football to watch. And those are where I've seen a lot of the big plays being made that we wouldn't have been able to see in past years. So shout out to the sports information department and obviously Spencer Danielson, Team Dickey, for saying, you know what, we'll let you get a better view of what we're doing, so you can tell Bronco Nation, maybe a little bit better ways than you've been able to do in the past, BJ. So that's been awesome, dude. Sticking out to me, Maddox Madsen, no knee brace yesterday. You catch that? I mean, He was playing, man. It was like he's hurt. Feels like he is way ahead of schedule. I talked about it on IST yesterday, but I saw Malachi Nelson kind of grooving, kind of dancing, kind of, jawing back and forth with cornerbacks after he'd complete a pass on them during the that was a heavy, they were into it. My favorite drill is the quarterbacks and the receivers versus the DBs. Because the jawing back and forth, that is highly competitive.
When they're in full pads like they were yesterday too, it gets a little more, it raises it up even more.
It does, man. The receivers all want, they all want to embarrass each other type of thing. The DB wants to get the big hit or the pass breakup or obviously the pick, and the receiver just wants to score on you and beat you. So it was nice to see Malachi Nelson. Feels like 7 practices in now, BJ. He's feeling a lot more comfortable on this thing. And overall, other than that, like some big takeaways I've seen this year, the tight end. I think Matt Lauder is having a sensational spring camp, and even some guys behind him, BJ. We've looked at each other a couple of times and have to double check our roster and be like, oh, okay, that Wagner, he looks bigger this year. Okay, there he is, that type of deal. So the tight ends have stood out to me in practice, and overall the tempo, it just looks like the culture that Spencer Danielson has been able to build here, BJ. Looks like everybody's buying in, and maybe the sky's the limit. Who knows?
Yeah, I will piggyback off multiple points that you stole from me there, Johnny, but the trash talking and the Chris Marshall, dude can't even be out there playing, and he just met his teammates a month ago, and he's standing on the sidelines letting I thought Amari and McCoy was going to come over and deck him at one point, and he walked over and got right in his face and then kind of pushed him away. And I know a lot of it's in good fun, but the competitiveness was really raised. And I thought Chris Marshall going after Amari and McCoy and like, you're about to get beat, dude, and all this stuff, like when he's not even out there and he's new to the team, just kind of shows you all you need to know. And yeah, they're going back and forth. And I heard, at one point I heard some of the defense, because they're, you mentioned Malachi Nelson. He had a couple nice throws in the red zone, had a couple nice touchdowns, and then a couple of the defensive guys, the offense was letting them have it. And I heard a couple of the defensive guys going, it's about time you guys finally show up for a practice. They're like, oh, we've been dominating all spring. It's about time you guys do something. And they're going back and forth and having fun. And I was very, last week there was a little bit of a skirmish at one of the practices. Didn't see anything, quite like that yesterday, but it was good natured. But it was some serious trash talk, some serious, okay, this is 4th and goal at the 5. Are you going to get in or not? and who's making the play. And it was like the intensity level just seemed higher, and it seemed more like quote unquote real football yesterday, Johnny, than it has at some of these practices. I do think the full pads has something to do with that as well. You mentioned the tight ends, number 88, Matt Wagner. You mentioned having to look at the roster. He's a guy multiple times I've said, oh, who's 88? And I've had to borrow your roster or whatever and look down at 88. And Matt Wagner has really come in and done a very nice job. What is that going to translate to playing time? Is he going to have 50 catches next year? I don't know. I doubt it. You mentioned Matt Lauder. He's obviously, TE1, I guess you can say. But I've been impressed by Wagner, some of the other guys as well. So excited for that position. And you mentioned Malachi Nelson. I do think he had, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen, his best practice yesterday. I thought he did some really nice things. Had a nice touchdown pass to Matt Wagner over the middle. Had another nice touchdown pass into the corner. He's made a couple of nice throws yesterday and does seem like he's getting a little more comfortable. And it was hard not to notice Maddox Madsen out there. Still not doing all the team drills, but he was out there in no brace and doing some things. And I've got some clips. I didn't get a chance yesterday to post them, but I've got some clips I'll try to post today of a couple of those touchdown passes, Johnny. But it was a beautiful day on the Blue. Was at practice 7, I believe. So we're literally right about the halfway point here. We'll be out there tomorrow watching the full practice again. And they'll have their first scrimmage, close scrimmage on Saturday.
Yep, that's going to be exciting. And that's going to be physical, man. As physical as they're going to want a spring practice to be, it'll be a little more physical than that. I think these guys are going to be ready to get after a little bit, and I think that's a good thing. I also wanted to throw in the receivers. You mentioned it's funny, like Chris Marshall and Cam Camper aren't participating this spring, but they're out there. Yeah. And they're observing and they're on the sidelines and they're high-fiving and they're talking trash during the receiver DB drill. And I sit there and I look at both of them. They're both 6'3" and they're built well. And you're like, dude, you're adding those two guys to the receiver room? I already look at the receiver room and I'm like, well, how are all these guys gonna play? Chase Penry is having a nice spring. He's making plays. Yep. I don't know where he fits in. He's making plays, dude. Yep. God, Jackson Greer is having a sensational spring. I know he's way far on the depth chart, BJ, but all I see from the Greer kid is catch everything, beat a lot of the DBs where I'm like, oh, that's a 1 or 2 DB on this roster, and Greer just beat him again. And he's having a good one, but I look at those two big receivers. I'm like, okay, so I thought we're all talking about Caples, Bolt, Prince. Okay, you throw in Chris Marshall and Cam Camper. I don't know how they're gonna figure all this out with those receivers, but it's a really good problem to have, BJ. We got Latrell Caples on IST today, 5 p.m. in studio. He played high school ball with Cam Camper, so I can't wait to ask him about that story. And by the way, if you've seen too, BJ, Latrell, he's having a hell of a spring too.
He is. Yeah, he's very, very impressive. And I've been super impressed with what I've seen from him. And you mentioned Penry. Penry's got a little trash talking in him too. I saw him flip the ball at one of the DBs after he beat him for a touchdown or a nice pass there. We'll have to see on Greer. I know he kind of went down yesterday. I don't know what we can say or not say, but hopefully he's okay. There was some clips out there. But Greer's having a heck of a spring. A lot of these guys are. You have Austin Bolt's doing fine. Prince Strawn is out there. So the wide receiver room looks like it's in good hands. By the way, a little breaking news, Johnny. Speaking of wide receivers, Khalil Shakir, Johnny.
What? Did he just get traded?
No, he's now number 1 wide receiver in Buffalo because Stephon Diggs just got traded to the Houston Texans.
Shaq.
Stephon
I don't know if
Diggs
that means he's receiver 1, but they might bring somebody in. But no, that doesn't hurt Shaq's career with 170 targets leaving the building. Oh, yeah.
By the way, Johnny, somebody was asking here, why can't Marshall practice? He's dealing with a small injury, hamstring or something. So Chris Marshall, Cam Camper is coming off of knee surgery, I believe. So both those guys are eligible. They're good to go. They're just dealing with some injuries right now. And as you said, they were standing back there next to Shea Oladipo at one point. He was kind of doing some work on the clipboard because he can't practice either. And those guys, Chris Marshall walked by us at one point, Johnny, on the sidelines when he was kind of watching things and doing his trash talking. And yeah, that dude looks like an NFL receiver.
Absolutely. He looks like Prince, maybe a little bigger. He looks like Bolt, maybe a little bigger. Like Bolt and Prince really stick out. And then you like Marshall and Camper, well, they're the exact same size basically as these guys. Boise State's going to have like 4. Bolt and the 3 we mentioned, like massive thoroughbred type of wide receiver.
Marshall's not just tall. He's ripped and muscly, and they all just, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. All the guys they have in that receiver room, and then you throw in maybe a Penry and a Caples on the, in the slot, things like that. A lot of excitement there. Johnny, BSU Bill with a question. Malachi Nelson's arm talent. Is it very apparent when you guys are watching in person? What do you make of Malachi Nelson from what you've seen in his arm talent?
Well, it'd be like this. You take a kid that's just coming out of high school with massive arm talent, Elite 11, ESPN top 300, everything that Malachi would bring to the table at 17 or 18 years old. You're only at a certain level then. But you bring him here now 2 years removed, so you can clearly see, like, okay, why he was so far ahead of everybody else in high school. But, I mean, Maddox Madsen's now been in the system for 3 years, been throwing hundreds of passes every day, working out, going through the process of being a collegiate quarterback. So, no, when you watch Malachi, at least for me, when you watch Malachi and Maddox do everything together in the throws, you don't sit there and say, oh yeah, you can tell, ooh, Malachi, he throws way better ball than Maddox. No, Mad Dog throws a hell of a ball too, so does Tiller. Colt Fulton spins it. Like, at that level, they all have really, really, like, I don't want to say natural arm talent, though some of them do, but well-crafted arm talent at that time. Like, this is big boy football. So for me, BJ, I don't know about you, it doesn't stand out like, oh my God, Malachi throws the ball farther, he throws the ball harder, he has a tighter spiral. Like Malachi, this is like what? This is Warren Moon, that's Joe Namath out there, and everybody else is a bunch of yahoos. I don't see that at all.
No, not at all. I don't either. I think that the QB competition is going to be very, very interesting. What would you put the percentages at right now, Johnny, if you had to? I mean, is it?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to say. I mean, I've heard CJ Tiller's having a great spring too, but I think, I mean, I hate to say it for CJ Tiller, Johnny, but I don't think he has a realistic chance of winning this job. It's got to be Nelson or Mad Dog, right?
I don't think Dirk Cutter cares about anybody's ego.
Oh, I understand that. I'm just saying where he's coming from. I think either I would be surprised, not to say he couldn't do it in terms of like they wouldn't pick him because he's a freshman. I just think the other two are probably going to end up being ahead of him. But
I agree with you. I don't think he'll be the week 1 starter. Okay, if I'm going to play the percentage game, let's say 50% Mad Dog, 45% Malachi, 5% CJ Tiller.
Yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably about right. It's
really going to heat up in August, though, BJ, when I mean, they're a few weeks away from Georgia Southern and what Dirk and the staff are going to decide at quarterback. It's going to heat up big time.
I might say, though, if I had asked you that after like practice 2 or 3, though, I think your percentage might have been a little lower on Nelson.
Well, probably would have been 70% Mad Dog.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nelson has come on a little bit, and I think it is, a lot of pressure, a lot of people expecting him to come in and just be the guy right away and start from day one, but it's a new offense, and he's still, let's not forget, Johnny, he's still a redshirt freshman.
And Maddox Madsen's busted his butt for 3-4 years in this program. He's a way better player now than he was as a senior in high school in American Fork, Utah, right? Kids get better. They work on their craft. They take coaching. They learn. They grow. They get, that's nature, man. That's what you want. It's a developmental football program, right, Coach D?
Yeah. Hey, I want to tell you about a couple of our great sponsors, and then I want to talk about Jonah Dalmas and the records that he is trying to break. John Mallory, I know you guys had the audio clips on your show, but Jonah Dalmas closing in on the all-time college football career field goals record. Does that put him in the College Football Hall of Fame? I'm going to get the response from Johnny Mallory here in just a second, but I want to remind you guys about Cutwater Spirits. More than 35 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. You can pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate trip to the golf course. You name it. Highly recommend Cutwater Spirits. RoePaint.com, our title sponsor, just painted our entire house. They do a tremendous job. Check them out, roepaint.com. Andy Rowe and his staff just do a tremendous job, and Andy's just, as Johnny and Prater know, just a great dude on top of it. So check them out, roepaint.com. All your painting needs, interior, exterior, residential, commercial, industrial, and of course, those concrete coatings can transform the look of your garage, back patio, basement, any concrete slab in one day. Check them out, roepaint.com. ICCU, they are locked in as a co-title sponsor of the golf tournament along with roepaint.com. They're going to be putting together some golf balls, I believe, to give out at the tournament. So check them out, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. All your banking needs right in one spot, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much in every corner, so make the switch today. The Raines family wishes we had done it sooner. Super happy we're with ICCU, and you can as well. Again, ICCU.com. Ridley's Family Markets, 14 locations across the state of Idaho, others in surrounding states. You can get up to 40% off at the checkout line with the Shop Ridley's app. Check them out, shopridleys.com. Support the local community grocery stores. Ridley's Family Markets, that Cuna location, maybe moving closer to Johnny. We'll see, and I may be hitting up that Cuna location. It could be dangerous if I live within a half a mile from John Mallory, but we'll see. ShopRidleys.com. Check it out, Ridley's Family Markets. And Bauscher Real Estate. I knew Matt was number one. I knew he did a great job, Johnny, but I've been working with Matt and Kelly and the team over there at Bauscher Real Estate and have been super impressed as we get ready to put our house on the market. I can tell why Bauscher Real Estate's the number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. It's not lip service. I'm a client of his right now, and they are doing a tremendous job. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home quick, professionally, and get top dollar, you need to look no further than Matt Bauscher. Whether it's buying, selling, no home is too big or too small. Check out Matt and his team, BauscherRealEstate.com. Johnny, we got the golf tournament coming up. I want to throw in a quick plug for that because Jonah Dalmas has confirmed. You heard him talk about it yesterday. I've talked to him. Jonah Dalmas is locked in for our first official player to announce that is playing in the tournament is Jonah Dalmas. So you want to see Jonah Dalmas, the record-breaking kicker? You'll see him May 31st, Timberstone Golf Course. So we had a lot of players out last year. We had Maddox Madsen, DJ Schramm, Riley Smith, Kanohi Kaniho, Alexander Tubner, Colt Fulton was out there, Ben Ford, some other guys, Luke Voorhees. So we're going to have probably 10 to 12 football players out there again. We're going to have some basketball players out there. I don't remember if you were on the show and we announced this or not, Johnny, but Spencer Danielson is confirmed. First time. Yes, Spencer Danielson, the football coach, is coming. It'll be the first time in the tournament's 3 years here that we've had a football coach out there. I mentioned it to him, even changed his schedule around. He said, I wouldn't miss this. I'll be there. And they're flying to Texas for a camp later that day. They're pushing their flight back of all the coaches so they can, on their private jet, so they can make an appearance at this in the morning. And so we're very thankful, excited. Spencer Danielson is on board. Mike Burns is on board. We're going to continue to add coaches and players and announcements coming soon. Johnny and Prater will be out there doing their show again. Looking forward to that. I know you guys had Larry Eustace on last year. You had you sat down with DJ Schramm and Riley Smith. So we'll get some other guests and things. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're giving away the car again for a hole-in-one. So sign up now. It is going to fill up. It is going to fill up this year. We had 50 foursomes last year. We're going full 64.
Camper sighting far left. Oh, what's up, D? Oh, God. Fat guy in a little Bronco Nation news hat. BJ, look how much weight I've lost in a year.
Wow, man. How much is it, man?
24, 25 pounds.
Man. That's awesome, man. Super happy for you. You probably did not partake then in the Degenhart dozens that day, or maybe you did that day.
Of course I did. I still will.
You do. You know what? That's going to be a big day for you. You deserve to have a couple Degenhart dozens. So yes,
thanks, man.
I know you've played a couple years, Johnny. We gave you grief for the 1 year playing in flip flops, but I know it's a fun day. I know you see a lot of people we know and boosters and supporters and coaches and stuff, and we get Justin Schultz out there, and we had Sean Garris, the volleyball coach, out there last year, and a lot of other folks, and it's a fun time. So I'm looking forward to it again this year, Johnny.
Hey, is my boy Jeremy DeLuca signed up yet?
Dude, literally yesterday they just replied and they're in. Yes, they have a foursome and they're in the after. Yes, they're in.
I saw DeLuca come, I think, 7 feet away from winning that car last year, BJ.
No way.
I I don't know who the closest to the pin was. Maybe someone was a little closer. Maybe it was 17 feet, and it's getting closer now that I remember it. But DeLuca made a run for that, man. It was a hell of a shot.
We're actually going to be giving a portion of the money to his foundation and charity as well as the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. So help us out, support some good local charities, local causes, and have some fun in the process. May 31st, you can go to bronconationnews.com/golf, bronconationnews.com/golf, or you can send me an email, rains@bronconationnews.com, and we will get you signed up for that. Okay, I mentioned Jonah Dalmas. Johnny, you can see him in the picture here with all the players that played last year. And again, Maddox Madsen on the far right. Who would have thought what his year was going to end up being last year? But we're looking forward to having these guys out again. Jonah Dalmas over there, second from the left. And Johnny, you guys had some clips on your show. I have a clip I want to play as well, but we had a chance to talk to him after practice. He is back, and due to the COVID situation, which maybe if he can break the record in the first 7 games, that won't be a storyline or whatever if he'd have done it anyway. But this is his extra season due to COVID, and he has a chance to make some college football history this year. That's one of the storylines going into the season is Jonah Dalmas.
Yeah, man, such a good dude. Such a rock star in this town, as Prater would say that term, and wow. So it's such a blessing for Spencer to get him back. And I mean, to have like as little worries about your kicking game as any team in the country, right? In Jonah. And I love the fact that, I think fans like it when their athletes, when their favorite players are cognizant of where they rank historically and want to get there, because fans want that for their favorite players. Bronco Nation, it'll mean something to them if Jonah Dalmas makes more field goals than any other kicker in the history of college football. It'll almost mean as much to the diehard fans as maybe it will to Jonah Dalmas and his closest friends. They want that. But so often players will be, I don't really care about records. That's for you guys on sports radio to talk about. Doesn't really mean anything. I just want to help the team win. And obviously Jonah wants all that, but also Jonah's well aware of his place in history. And by the way, the 2 records he's chasing were both broken by kickers who had used a COVID year, so to speak. So Jonah's not the only guy on this list where he got that extra year. A lot of these guys did.
And what before I play the clip here, what are the updated numbers? He's like 3 or 4 away from the Mountain West record, I believe. And then I think it's 17 from the NCAA career record.
I believe you are exactly correct on that assessment. He needs 3 to tie the Mountain West, and yes. BJ, he needs, I'm looking at my notes from yesterday right there. He needs, he has 80. He needs 17 field goals made, I believe, to tie the record, 18 to break it. And in 14 games, 13 games, you got to think Jonah Dalmas has a pretty good chance to make that many field goals.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that we're talking about COVID here, Johnny. I mean, that's a record that never could. I mean, we talk about records in sports. There's no chance that'll ever be broken again because of the extra field goals in COVID. If he can go out and make 25 field goals or whatever this year and get over 100 field goals, like that's something that's going to be like he might have this record for a long time, man.
I think that's what he needs to do, to have so many field goals that you can take the 2020 season and erase it and say he still would have had the most field goals of all time just in his 4 normal years.
How many did he make the first? How many does he need? How many did he make the first year? I should know that.
That was probably his fewest amount made in a season because he only played 7 games, BJ. They were 5-2 that year in the COVID.
I should know this already. I'm going to look it up right now. He's going to for sure be the. I mean, he could have the Mountain West record by in 1 game or whatever. He only made 7. He only made 7.
Right. So he makes.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different ways to look at this from Jonah, but I'm interested to see that clip. The Bass Pro Shops coming in there. Like, I swear, Boise State, not only are they terrific, but Boise State has a really cool kicker and a really cool punter, too.
Like, are you the one that asked him about the NIL deal with Bass Pro Shops? And he's like, I wish.
That was me, man. I mean, Jonah, who knows?
Jonah Dalmas asked about the records. Is he aware of that? Is that a goal of his to become the Mountain West and the NCAA all-time field goal record holders?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge reason why I came back, too, for 1 more year. I had those goals from my freshman year to become the best kicker in Boise State history and in college football history. And so kind of having that vision in front of me is exciting for me because those are the goals I set out when I was, freshman Jonah. And so having that in front of me is something I want to chase and fulfill that goal.
This is the time of year you can do it, but have you actually charted the 2 or 3 records and the goals that you want to chase? Or
I just I don't like chart them. I know they're kind of in front of me because people talk about it, but I want to continue to have that chip on my shoulder and stay aggressive when I'm out on the field. And, if it ends up happening, it happens. And, but that's something I look forward to. Those are things that I chase. Those are the things that keep me aggressive and confident when I go out there. And most importantly, those are the things I, have in front of me that keeps me, having a purpose when I go out there.
Which I do think is big, Johnny. I mean, this dude's like, very rarely ever misses a field goal. I mean, I asked him yesterday, like, what kind of keeps pushing you to motivate you and make you want to do better? Because some of these spring practices where you're just standing around the sidelines, all this in the summer, it's like when you're a guy like Jonah Dalmas and maybe even to an extent already James Ferguson Reynolds too. I mean, you literally led the nation in punting last year. I mean, you're kind of like, I'm already dang good. Like, I don't need this extra work. I don't need this. Like, and that's not him, but complacency is a real thing. And so I think that he does have this carrot out there that he needs the 17 for the record, 18 to set it. Like, I do think that probably is helping kind of keep him motivated this offseason and pushing him. But I did kind of think it's funny. He's like, oh, absolutely. That's why he came back. I won it. And then Prater asked, and he's like, well, I don't really, you guys talk about it. I don't really, chart it or know what it is. But he knows exactly how many he needs. He knows what game he wants to get it by. And I do think that's a real thing this year. And I don't know if if it's at home, if they stop the game and do a little thing on the scoreboard and present him the game ball. And I don't know how all that works. You hope it's not, unceremoniously, at Hawaii or something when he does it in mid-October. But I mean, I think it's a big deal. Whether that puts him into the College Football Hall of Fame someday, I don't know. But I mean, that if you're the all-time, and I think it would be not just field goals, Johnny, I think that makes him the scoring leader as well. I think he'd be the all-time leader in points scoring when you add it all up in terms of the 3 points per field goal, all the extra points that he's made as well. I think he'd be the leading scorer in college football history as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. I know it's a kicker, but I think it's a big deal. And the fact that he's a local kid from Meridian as well, I think makes it even cooler.
And also throw in the fact that Jonah has like real life issues that most guys on the team don't have just because he's married. He went on his mission. So he arrived a couple years older than kids in his class. I mean, so Jonah has like real life kind of tugging at him with his marriage and what their future plans are. So, him playing football another year, it chases the ultimate goal, which is to kick in the NFL. And Jonah probably thought it was best for him to stay here, chase these records down, sure, but put himself in a better position, becoming a better kicker going into the 2025 draft than this year, BJ. But he has a lot of real life stuff that he deals with. You can tell he's a real mature kid. I think eventually, and by the way, on the Hall of Fame, he would have to be an All-American on a publication that the Hall of Fame considers. Hopefully he will be.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get the traction. Oh, he's the all-time leading kicker. And if he has another like Jonah year where he's like 27 for 29, okay, give him All-American. If Boise State's in the CFP, so they're kind of back in the national scene, maybe Jonah has a couple of big game-winning kicks that gets him a little more notoriety. But I think the big thing for Jonah historically, be in the Boise State Hall of Fame. And I think, BJ, I don't know how you keep him out of that. I know there is this massive logjam of really good football players that they are trying to get in this thing after taking about 15 years off. But if Jonah, you would think BJ is a future Boise State Hall of Famer. And I think eventually he'll probably settle down in Idaho after his career and be a superstar in this town.
No doubt, no doubt. By the way, Johnny, one of the more impressive things too is he's made 80 field goals in his career, but he's only taken 90, so he's 88.9%. He's made 89% of his field goals. He's only missed 10 field goals in his 4 years. I actually forgot, by the way, he had 5 punts during the COVID season as a true freshman in 2020. We see him at practice. He's essentially the backup punter, I guess, if something were to happen in the game to James. And so
he's good too.
He's not a bad punter either. No, he's not.
Start for 70 teams in FBS and be their punter.
Yep. And now he said he's adding to his distance. He wants to consistently be able to make from 50, 55 plus. I mean, It's scary, man. And again, he's made at least 23 field goals, by the way, in each of the last 3 seasons. So if he were to just have what he's just do an average season, like you said, the last 3 years, he finishes with 103. He blows past the record, and probably has that for a very long time. I want to talk about the latest transfer in the final couple of minutes. We have Johnny for the basketball team, Kobe Young, and some news maybe there that might have to do with him being a teammate of Jonah Dalmas's before too long. Who knows? We'll talk about that in just a second, but I want to quickly remind you, Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out, lithiafordboise.com. They got NIL deals with 5 student athletes at Boise State. You can do what the Raines family did. You go online, you do your research, lithiafordboise.com, view that full inventory of vehicles, find the 2 or 3 you like, go on in and you test drive them, and you've already done the research, so you're ready to go, and you're on your way in a couple of hours. lithiafordboise.com. And again, they're giving away a Bronco Sport if you get a hole-in-one at the BNN golf tournament. So looking forward to that. Taco Bell, they are hiring, and how about this? They'll give you half your wages the very next day after your shift, and you also get free food while you work. I mean, what is a better option than that? A lot of folks need jobs, don't want to wait 3 weeks for that first paycheck. It will get you some quick cash, get you started. TacoBellWorks.com. You can get more information. And again, the SON Management, Nicolason Group, doing a tremendous job with all the freestanding Treasure Valley Taco Bell stores. There's almost 30 of them, and we appreciate their support of Bronco Nation News. You need some Boise State gear? Look no further than the Blue and Orange store. They'll be providing prizes and things for the golf tournament as well. Travis Hawks and company, the Blue and Orange store. BlueandOrangeStore.com. You get free shipping for any order over $40, or you can go right there into the Boise Town Square Mall. It's on the second floor up there next to Pro Image, and I think it's the back entrance by the Kohl's there. And again, Blue and Orange Store, hats, jerseys, bumper stickers, you name it. The best selection of Boise State gear at the best price is the Blue and Orange store. If you need a job, Transportation Compliance Service can help you out. TCS, every step of the way, they can get you into the trucking industry, whether it's the DOT, overweight permits, things you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. Let the professionals take care of it at Transportation Compliance Service. Again, check them out, transcomservice.com. And Bronco Brew Coffee, broncobrew.coffee to be exact. Check them out online. You can pick the student athlete of your choice. A couple dollars goes right into their pocket as part of a unique NIL opportunity they have there. And again, in most cases, within 24 hours, fresh roasted order coffee is at your doorstep in the Treasure Valley. Check them out, broncobrew.coffee. And Lean Feast. My wife stocked up the fridge yesterday with Lean Feast. She was over there, Johnny. I know Prater's on Lean Feast now. LeanFeastMeridian.com. Check them out. Healthy eating, fully customizable, and you can do you can't do any better than our friends at Lean Feast. Check them out, leanfeastmeridian.com. They got Ashton Genty, they got Tyson Degenhart, they got a lot of athletes over there. They're helping them out with good tasting food. leanfeastmeridian.com. And again, two minutes in the microwave and you're eating steak and shrimp. Highly recommend leanfeastmeridian.com. Dave and his staff. Actually, Johnny, they do once every 2 weeks. They're giving meals to the football team, and they give some meals to the basketball team as well. So when we're standing there hungry and all these players are walking out eating food right in front of us, a lot of times it's Lean Feast. So
I smell Lean Feast in Cubicleville every now and again, and it does smell good. Shout out to our boy David, does a great job there.
All right, final couple of minutes. Kobe Young, Johnny, we saw him at a football practice last week, and I was kind of joking. I was kind of joking with you, and I said, "Yeah, I think he's joining the football team." And as it turns out, I've talked to Kobe Young yesterday. I know Jay Tuss and others have as well. But that is what he would like to do. In a perfect world, if there was a spot for him, and if they can make this work, Kobe Young would like to join the Boise State football team. They have he has announced his transfer or his entry into the transfer portal for basketball. He's not going to be a member of the basketball team next year. He's going to see what kind of interest he can get out there in the transfer portal for basketball. But if a scholarship were to become available after the spring scholarship period, and if he can do enough to show the football coaches, and I don't know if that will happen, but again, he had some opportunities, I believe, as a walk-on. I'm not sure if it was scholarship or not, but he had Washington, he had Air Force, he had a lot of opportunities to potentially go play football out of high school. I think it was like a 3-star player. He had some freak numbers in high school as a wide receiver. You just mentioned earlier how stacked this wide receiver group is at Boise State. That makes this a little bit tougher, but if he loves football, wants to be able to say he did both, whether he gets a lot of playing time or not, who knows? I guess we'll deal with the basketball side first, Johnny. Kobe Young, his departure from the roster. Let's talk football first. What do you make of Kobe Young and potentially playing football?
So he won't walk on. He needs a Scully.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. I don't know how many Scullies are available. One, I don't know how important a Scully wide receiver would be. Two, right? This receiver room is jam packed, and I mean, Kobe Young hasn't played football for 3-4 years. He's played basketball every single day and worked hard and been taught and had a good system around him for every day for 3-4 years. It feels to me, I'm not going to ever make a decision for a kid. I think Kobe Young's probably better at basketball right now than he is at football. I don't know if football is a thing that you can just say, okay, yeah, I played in high school. I played in the Big Nine, big conference over there in Central Washington, Kamayakin, the Tri-Cities area, and I balled. Okay, yeah. I don't know if you can just pick it back up, join this Boise State team, and stand out and not have a year at least to develop and learn and figure this out. And, Kobe Young is 3 years in on a 5-year ticket, right? Your clock. You have 5 years to play 4 seasons. Forget all the COVID stuff. Kobe doesn't have a COVID year. If he's confident that he can, that Spencer Danielson will offer him a football scholarship, he's going to join the football team and he's going to compete and be a better wide receiver option than Latrell Caples down, then wow, what a get this would be for Spencer Danielson. And wow, maybe he should have went and played football straight out of high school. I'll root for the kid no matter what he does. We did see him at practice the other day. So I mean, basketball players don't just come and hang out at football practice. They have lives. They have stuff they want to do too. They're not geeks like me and BJ.
Yeah,
but,
no doubt. And by the way, this would be a reversal, Johnny, because at one point, Austin Bolt had an invitation to join the basketball team. He wasn't playing much early in his football career. He was a little frustrated. He did some team workouts in the summer with basketball team and was super impressive. And ultimately, the football coaches did not want him doing it. But there was a several week stretch there where there was a possibility that Austin Bolt could have joined the basketball team and done both. So now you have a basketball player potentially joining the football team. Very interesting.
And maybe Kobe Young is that type of athlete where he can pick it up, join a Boise State high-level FBS football program, and fit in and be a usable player in less than a year, having not played since high school football in Eastern, Central, Southwest, or South. What would it be? Southeastern Washington. I don't know. I would think this if what I would like to see, I'd like to see Kobe Young stay in basketball. I think he's worked on that craft for 3 years. We'll take him up in Moscow. Speak for that program. Let's make him a Vandal or any Big Sky program. A lot of WCC programs. Who knows what program? He is a high-level athlete. So I was hoping that we would see Kobe Young continue his career in hoops. But This is a hell of a story. Don't get me wrong. I love stories more than anybody. If Kobe Young joins this football team, Spencer Danielson wants to Scully him and say, we're going to develop him. He has, 2, maybe 3 years left to play football? I'd have to see the eligibility.
Yeah.
Then let's go for it. I don't know if there's an available scholarship and you want an available Scully.
Yeah, I'm sure if they would have said, hey, if you want to walk on, we'll take you. Why not? But I don't know about it's a little tougher if he with his out of state tuition and all that, and it's a little tougher if it's not going to be a scholarship. I totally get that. Final thing for you though, Johnny. What do you think what do you make of the basketball roster side of this? He leaves the team, another scholarship now available. Cade Rice was a walk-on, but you have scholarships now available for Jace Whiting, for Kobe Young, and then you had one extra already when you were leaving. Mosilla and some of the seniors leaving. There was already going to be one spot left, so now 3 scholarships available for Boise State in the transfer portal.
BJ, I heard there was a very respected, sometimes prolific Mountain West point guard that was interested in Boise State. I'm not sure we're allowed to say names or institutions or anything
I said it on yesterday's show. San Jose State point guard Cardenas. I don't think I tweet out. I don't know if I've said this, but he visited Boise State last weekend.
The San Jose State point guard who drops about 7-8 assists. Or five,
Johnny Mallory says, this is why you watch Bronco Nation News.
So they're looking. And I'll tell you this, Leon, Bernsey, Duryea, Redzy, all these guys, dude, they get people interested to come play at Boise State. What they're selling right now, I mean, they're getting high-level transfers. Cam Martin, yeah, he was hurt, couldn't get what they wanted out of him, but Omar Stanley came from Rutgers. He was second team All Mountain West, right? Roddy Anderson might be the best athlete in this conference next year. Like, I trust that Leon is going to bring some dudes in that fit his system, fit his culture. And next year, I know the fan base doesn't want to hear it right now. They're still grieving or in mourning or frustrated, but I think they'll be an upper echelon Mountain West basketball program again next year. I'm excited to see who they're going to bring in. And I love the idea of a veteran who knows this league, BJ, like a Cardenas or anybody else who might be interested in transferring within the conference. I think that's going to happen a lot in college basketball because kids in their conference know other programs a little better, having being in their league. And if I'm in San Jose State and I'm looking at what Boise State's done the last few years and I'm in this league too, heck yeah. I don't know where that fits in with the roster. If they move Roddy over to the 2, you still got Chris Lockett Jr. coming in, so it's not like they have point guard minutes just to hand out at the airport here. They don't. But again, Cardenas, that's an all-level caliber Mountain West point guard, and that would be an interesting way to go to get more of a traditional point guard in there and play him next to, more of a Russell Westbrook athletic type of point guard that Roddy certainly is.
I've heard Raleigh Worcester, I believe is his name, Worcester at Utah, the point guard at Utah or guard at Utah, actually started his career at Utah State with Craig Smith and transferred to Utah. I mean, he's a 10-point scorer in the Pac-12 last year. I think there's some interest there as well. They got a lot of ways they can go, Johnny. They can add a point guard, slide Roddy down to the 2. They can add a center, a starting center instead, and then bump everybody up one. You'd have Omar Stanley as your 4, Tyson Degenhardt as your 3, then you'd have Buzo as your 2. So there's some different ways they can do it, but I think the goal probably is to find at least one starter, one high-level starter type guy in the portal. And so we'll see which way the direction to go, but they have multiple spots available. Heck, they know they're going to lose a lot of guys after next year, Johnny. They could even try to, if they think they're good with the 1 or 2 guys, maybe they use the 3rd spot on a younger guy, that they can have ready to go for a big role next year, the following season. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways they can go with this, but should be exciting to see what happens here in the next couple of weeks.
RJ Keene, give me the update. Come on. I know he's a big Houston Texans fan, so RJ Keene's probably thrilled right now that he just got Stephon Diggs to go with CJ Stroud, but it feels like is from what can you tell me about RJ Keene, BJ? Come on.
As of now, if nothing else changes or something, but as of now, the plan is for RJ Keene to be a part of next year's team.
Okay. Andrew Meadow might start, might get big minutes.
Andrew Meadow is
going to bring those guys back.
Yeah, and the shooter they're looking for, I think, could be Andrew Meadow if he just gets a chance to play more. I would think that right now this is it for the departures of the team, unless something happens where they go bring in somebody and it ticks off somebody about his playing time and he leaves. Like, as of now, I think they're expecting everybody else to come back, and then now you have 3 spots to go use. I think that the 2 of the 3 out of the Whiting, Kobe, and Keene was kind of the plan, and 2 of the 3 have left, and I think they expect Keene to probably stay now, and we'll see. And I know Keene is excited about the BNN golf tournament, Johnny, so maybe you and Keene can hang out at the hole all day.
Sounds good, man. RJ, let's go. I asked him if he had a CJ Stroud jersey, and he looked at me like I was an idiot and was like, yeah, I do.
I'm sure he was pumped about that no-hitter the Astros threw the other day, too.
These kids, BJ. Remember when we used to make fun of Jordan Kay because he was like a lifelong Arizona Diamondbacks fan? Like, he was actually – the Diamondbacks were around like 2 months before he was born. So it's a lifelong team, these guys. RJ Keene's the same way about the Houston Texans. It doesn't – funny, man.
What do we got coming up on Idaho Sports Talk, Johnny? I'm sure some more. That sounds like a football or a Kobe Young discussion. Sounds like a segment made for Idaho Sports Talk.
I don't know. Maybe it'll make the cut today, but I'll tell you this: it won't be on the message board at 5 p.m. BJ Latrell Caples, Boise State wide receiver number 1, sitting in the rowpaint.com studio with Prater and myself. JP across the glass. Do not miss this interview. Got a lot of questions coming for Trell. And
first football player
who's hungry.
Is this the first active football player? Maybe you had a guy in for the softball game or something, but I can't remember too many football players coming into your studio.
DJ Schramm, Riley Smith, we had them in. That's when they were parading them around with the softball thing. But this is kind of in season. Again, BJ, we're just crossing our fingers that this type of coverage, continues, and we're able to bring active players in studio or get active players on the telephone. BJ, there was a time where we had to pretty much fly to Las Vegas to interview the head football coach on a one-on-one of this school when we're going to the campus every single day. And that's not the case right now, and we're loving it.
Yep, super excited about it. I had Ty Benefield and Breezy Dubar one-on-one yesterday as well. I'm saving those interviews for a little bit. So, yeah, it's been great access. Thanks to Patrick, David, everybody over at Boise State, of course, Spencer Danielson. Thanks to our sponsors. Go support the sponsors, make this show possible. Thank you to all of you subscribers. And again, 8 p.m. tonight on the way out here, one final plug, John. You got a competing show now with Riley and Rid, and they have a conflict tomorrow night. So tonight, 8 p.m., come back for some Boise State spring football talk. Speaking of DJ Schramm, he's their special guest tonight, and they promise to get into some behind-the-scenes stories and battles, offense versus defense, the last 4 or 5 years. Riley Smith, DJ Schramm, Kent Riddle tonight, 8 p.m., Riley and Rid on the various social media channels of Bronco Nation News. Make sure you come back. So listen to Idaho Sports Talk today, 3 to 6, and then listen to them at 8 o'clock. Appreciate all you guys for checking us out. Have a great rest of your day. Go subscribe if you can, BroncoNationNews.com. Click the register button, and appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.